episode of Thanks for Stopping By. Um, so a couple of things, right off the bat, I guess. We're still all, I know a lot of us are still sort of on quarantine. A lot of us still aren't, you know, being able to go into work and even leave and stuff. It's affecting a lot of people. It's definitely a huge sacrifice. Um, you know, um, there's stuff that we all want to do. I can't go see my girlfriend right now because we're all locked down. But uh, I'm hoping that in this sort of time where we're all sort of in this crisis, at least that fellow creators and stuff can, you know, sort of come together and keep making the content they make. Because there's a lot of people, like I said, who are stuck at home, and a lot of people that need to. There's a lot of people that use uh, the content they love as a form of escapism, I think. And I guess I just wanted to like sort of I'm sorry I'm kind of scattered right now. It's been a long week. But I guess I'm basically just like wanting to shout out and thank all the creators that have continued to not only make content but to specifically make content for the people that are stuck at home. I've seen a lot of creators making stuff uh, to comfort people in this time. Nick Spheres, she made a awesome list of 50 movies that you can watch during quarantine. They're all range from really cool and great movies, some of which I watched. Like I finally watched The Handmaiden, which was absolutely amazing. Um, and then some movies that are just so amazingly awful and baffling and silly and crazy. For people like that who love that kind of thing. I happen to be one of those people that love like bad movies, the sort of like Neil Breen, The Room, those sort of things, like just really dog shit movies. Um, but yeah, it's just really cool to see how many creators are continuing to do what they do in this time. And like you could easily give the, oh, they already work from home, but okay, A, who gives a shit, and B, like you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like some of these creators are losing their Patreons and supporters because of this, because people can't afford it anymore, and that's their income. And some of these people aren't getting sponsors now because companies are worried about shelling out money to content creators because of this crisis. So like I'm not saying it has to be financially, but if you can support your favorite creators financially, absolutely do it. I think it's really important if you have the means, of course. If you don't, that's totally fine. But still support your creators in other ways, share their videos around, like their videos, watch them, like just push their stuff cuz they are in this time of crisis still continuing to make really long form and like really cool shit that takes hours and hours to make, and a lot of focus and a lot of drive in this really crazy and chaotic and distracting time. Um yeah, sorry that was just like a random tangent. I just been seeing a lot of creators who are like continuing to make stuff even though you can tell they're kind of struggling with their daily life. Um But other than that, I wanted to talk about. I obviously, for those of you who know, I'm a professional wrestler, and the wrestling world has taken a pretty major hit. Obviously, And I don't want to say it as if it's like anyone's fault. Obviously, it's not. We're in a pandemic. Probably not a good idea to be running wrestling shows. So, understandably, pretty much every show has been canceled. Um, I know major companies like WWE and EW, like they are running empty arena shows because they have the means. And then there are some companies like Hood Slam, for instance, that are finding alternatives to replace their live and in person content. The great Bambina, she has a cooking show called Batter Up that you can watch on Hood Slam on Twitch. That's really good. I know Hood Slam does little like mini shows sometimes at their at Stoner U, which is their school, which you can also watch on Twitch. So things like that are really cool, but obviously not everyone has the means to do, and obviously not every wrestler can do those kinds of shows. They're pretty in-house, obviously. Um, but it's been making me miss wrestling a lot, man. Especially because I feel like recently I've sort of finally came into my own and discovered myself as a performer. I sort of went through like a character shift a bit and changed my wrestling name and all kinds of stuff. And I felt like I was finally starting to fit into the ring comfortably, which is amazing. And I obviously, this isn't the end. One day we'll all be back to doing what we love. But it does suck that, excuse me, it does suck that you go from, wrestling 4 or 5 times a week to all of a sudden not at all, or even less. Some people wrestling a couple times a month, and then still now like nothing at all. It's completely gone, and even the content that you can watch is pretty limited. But one thing I've noticed that I think is really cool, at least to me, is that a lot of the wrestlers I know, even in this time of quarantine and in this time of crisis, still have a pretty close and cool relationship over like social media and stuff like that. Um, Obviously there are, you know, divides in areas and that kind of thing. Like some wrestlers don't know who each other are, blah blah whatever. But the people that I know, um, just seeing the passion for the business and like how much people miss it and love it, I think has been really cool. Um, and people still continuing to try and make content for the fans they have, whether it be 4 Minutes of Heat have a Patreon now, I'm pretty sure, and they make they make videos, and it's a fucking crime that those guys don't have a TV show in the first place. Those guys are fucking hilarious. um, and then some wrestlers have things like an OnlyFans. Like I know Funny Bone has an OnlyFans, I'm pretty sure. And a couple of other wrestlers have started some. Um, or just making like YouTube videos and Twitter videos or posting on Twitter. I know D-Rogue's been pretty active on Twitter, like posting just like mostly like motivational content, just like putting out there like, really cool stuff like for people struggling with mental health and shit like that. And I think it's really cool that wrestlers who are often from the outside world looked at, these hoodlums or these people that do this weird crazy thing that's fake and whatever the fuck, we're ostracized by a lot of people from the outside perspective. And I think it's cool seeing that out of everyone, how passionate wrestlers are about their fans and how passionate they are about the business and the wrestling world, and just how much they care about getting their fans like content and stuff like that. In trying to make sure that their fans who use wrestling as a form of escapism can still somewhat do that, because there's a lot of people who aren't doing that, um and so yeah, I it blows me away how much the business I've seen stuff like that, how personally connected you can be to certain people in the business, and it is like a family for the most part. There's a lot of uh there's a lot of love in the wrestling business, not only for the business but for each other, I think, and that's how it should be. And there's always going to be some people who fall outside of that line, but that's anything, any form of art or anything like that, anything that politics are involved in. But um, thinking of all that actually reminded me of a story that I wanted to talk about, that happened at one of the shows that I thought was really cool. Um, and it kind of shows what I mean by how close people can be, and just how much like having a platform of any kind can affect people in their everyday life. Because it can, I before I get to that story, like the reason I wanted to A, wrestle, but B, just make content on YouTube, and I've always wanted to do theater, and I've always been built. I was a dancer for plenty of years, and I've always been a performer. And the reason is I truly believe that that is my way of giving back to the world. Some people do it through other means, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of ways to give back to the world, like obviously. But for me personally, it was always through entertainment, um, because that's what I found comfort in. When I was in high school, I was dealing with a lot of shit. I was dealing with questioning my gender and sexuality for a long time, but not knowing what even to put that, or how to put that into words. I was dealing with depression. I was dealing with a lot of bad shit. I was hospitalized at one point. Like, it was some rough shit. But the one thing I had every day was, and obviously there's plenty of creators I love, but the main one was when I discovered Game Grumps, who are a Let's Play channel. These two guys named Aaron and Danny. And they do Let's Plays. They play a lot of Nintendo games and stuff like that. But they play all kinds of stuff. But I remember I discovered them, and right when I discovered them was when they were a few episodes into their Legend of Zelda Wind Waker playthrough, which at the time ended up being their longest one, or one of their longest ones. But I remember discovering them and thinking they were fucking hilarious, and they were like 20 episodes in, I think, when I found them, so I binged up to the point until I got to an episode where then I would start watching every day, because they would put out 2 episodes a day. And I just remember like going to school and like dealing with all of this shit all day, and like just having this weight constantly, it's sort of the rain cloud above your head kind of shit. And I thought it was so amazing that after however many hours every day of dealing with all this shit, the one thing I would do is I would come home, go in my room, and put on the newest episode of Wind Waker. And for 10 to 15 minutes every day, I could just escape and let the world melt away and not think about anything. Any of the shit that I was dealing with, any of the problems, any of the scary fucking things that were going on in my head. For 10 to 20 minutes a day, all that would just fade into the background, and I could just be there listening to Dan and Aaron, play these games. And that particular playthrough too was so important to me, not only because it was the first, but there's also a episode around the midway point where Danny talks about struggling with his own depression, and that made it feel so full circle. Like, not only have these people that I've sort of found solace in their content helped me have some form of escapism every day, but now I'm relating to them because they're talking about their own struggles with what I'm dealing with. And if Dan and Aaron have dealt with it and they can be so successful and be so happy and have a career in doing what they love, so can I. And that shit really, really fucking inspired me to start making content and start performing. And because if I can give that to someone and I don't, you know, I can't live with that. You know, if I can help someone feel the way I did when I watched their content back then, you know, that means the fucking world to me. That's why I do this shit. You know, obviously I love making stuff. I love making jokes. I love being funny. I love making content. But I want to give people that form of escapism through the things that I make. Because I think that's really important for people to have that. And whether it be through my wrestling or through my podcast or through my YouTube videos or through my shitty tweets that I tweet 3 times a month, if I can help at least one person, then that's everything, you know? And so that kind of leads me to what the story I was going to talk about, which is one day, and I've asked this person if it's okay if I told the story. They said absolutely. So shout out to my buddy Carl, or AKA Colt Weston, who's a referee in the wrestling biz. But one day we were doing a show for the company that we both work at, or one of the companies we both work at, and I was backstage, you know, just like getting dressed, getting ready for my shit, and he gets my attention. I'm like, hey, what's up? And he's like, hey, do you mind if I talk to you after the show or after your match or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'm thinking, oh shit, like, did I do something wrong? Did I tell a referee to shut the fuck up or something on accident and I forgot? Like, you know, what did I do? Like, you know, am I in trouble? But I go out, I do my match, and it's great. It's a good time. And then I go backstage, and, you know, I talk to the guy, talk to everybody, and, you know, get my feedback. And then I go over to him, I'm like, hey, you know, like, what's up? You want to talk to me? He pulls me outside, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? What is this going to be? You know, like, this is going to be drama or something. And then he starts to tell me that, he says that he wanted to thank me for how vocal I've been online and in my wrestling persona, and in my, you know, just my real life, like how open I've been and how accepting I've been, and, you know, basically about my gender and sexuality, how open I've been and loving to people, because through that, he said he was able to find the strength to come out to his own parents, that he was bisexual. And yeah, man, like, just hearing that it was almost like I couldn't process it, you know, the fact that me living my life so unabashedly myself was able to help someone find the confidence to come out, because coming out is fucking terrifying. You know, it really is. It's never easy, no matter how supportive or accepting your parents are. It's never, or anybody in your life are. It's never easy, you know. And so just to hear that, and just sort of realizing that, like, holy shit, I had an impact on somebody by being myself, was just so it fucking meant everything, man, you know. And we both hugged and cried like a bunch of queers. You know, but no, it just, yeah, I just, like, I don't know, it just, like, obviously, like I said, I make content and wrestle and all that for that reason, but something about hearing it in person just really hit me, because it's like, I've been in that situation where you're terrified. I had a football dad, who's bodybuilder, wrestler, like tough guy, and I grew up in a house full of boys who were, unabashedly boys. They were macho, competitive, haha, that kind of shit. So even though they've always been supportive, like still you get these ideas in your head that coming out is, you're scared. You don't know what the reaction's gonna be. You don't know, and um, it just really fucking means the world to me that I helped someone cope with that. Um, and if you ever, I want people to know this too. If you ever needed someone to talk to, or you wanted advice, or you just whatever, I'm always approachable. Like, shoot me a message on Messenger or DMs or whatever, or come up to me at a show, like whatever. Like, I know I'm heel a lot of a lot of the time, but man, like that shit's so important to me because my journey through transitioning has been insane, and it's still barely even begun. I'm at the doorway still. Like, I'm not even there. I'm in the process of working on HRT. Obviously this pandemic's kind of slowed a lot of stuff down, but I'm still working on stuff to get that process going, and then make my journey towards surgery and voice therapy and everything. Mom, I'm going all the way. um, but just to hear that, I think, was really cool. So I wanted to tell that story and shout out that person, and say that anybody, whether you're out or you're not out, whether you, however you identify, however you choose to live your life, as long as you're not a danger to someone else. um, I love you. I see you. You're very valid. Um, and no matter what, there's always going to be people out there who love and support you. Whether you get that support from home, whether you get it from friends, or whether you get it from people you haven't met yet, there's always that love, there's always that support, and there's always people who are going to see you for you and see you how you see yourself. And it took me a long time to learn that, but I finally put people in my life who do. People like my family in wrestling. People like that are around me every day. People like my girlfriend who see me how I see myself, which is a beautiful yet kind of annoying girl. you know. But with that being said, I love all you guys. I've got a lot of cool shit in the works that I'm grinding and working really fucking hard on. There's one project that I'm almost done with that I think is going to be my favorite thing I've ever made, but also the most difficult thing I've ever made. But it's gonna kick off a lot of cool shit that I hope you guys can really enjoy, because I'm having a blast right now making stuff. Making this podcast has been so much fun. I've got some interviews lined up, ready to go. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Like, subscribe, all of that stuff. And most importantly, thanks for stopping by.